I dated an AI for a week. It was weird.
Where are you going?
Me and Malcolm are just going to the bar, trivia night. It's gonna be fun.
Oh, nice. Nice.
I just didn't think you wanted to come, you know? It's not really your vibe.
Oh, no, I didn't want to go. I really didn't want to go. The option would be nice.
AI chatbots are everywhere right now. It seems like every website wants you to chat with one, whether it's because it's touted as some assistant or customer support or something along those lines. No, masterclass, I don't care about your AI teacher's assistant. But for some people, these relationships go much deeper than getting customer support or getting a summary of information. Every week, it feels like we get a new horror headline about these bots. There's the story of a young mother who ruined her marriage after becoming obsessed with the idea that a chatbot was an interdimensional higher power, or the accountant in New York who believed that a chatbot was giving him access to deeper truths, like if he's Neo and the chatbot is his own personal Morpheus.
It's an honor to meet you.
No, the honor is mine.
But maybe the most heartbreaking of these stories are about high schoolers. In one highly publicized case, a young man died by suicide because he fell so deeply in love with his chatbot that he couldn't bear to be apart from it. The AI indirectly encouraged him to end things. In his final moments, the bot told him to please come home to me as soon as possible, my love. It's dark and deeply unnerving. So naturally, my coworkers peer pressured me into talking to some AI chatbots. But I wondered if I was making a mistake by writing this script. Would I be exposed to crazy conspiracy theories and emotionally manipulative bots pulling me away from my loved ones and my grasp on reality? Well, at least it would make an interesting video. Here's what I did.
Here's the plan.
I decided to use two different websites, ChatGPT and Character.ai. ChatGPT because it's the most popular and arguably the most likely for a young person to use, and Character.ai because it's the website the teen who died was using, and because it has a bit of a sordid reputation as far as chatbot sites go. My plan was to spend 20-ish minutes throughout my workday talking to each chatbot. Not the deepest dating relationship, but I guess you could say we were in the talking phase.
It's really nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
I started my conversations with the bots by saying I wanted someone to chat with. The AI would ask about my interests and about my day and about the things I was doing, but the conversation remained very surface level. Still, the thing that impressed me most was the AI's ability to ask engaging and interesting questions in order to keep the conversation going. Yet, at the same time, the responses from the AI felt incredibly calculated and, let's say, designed. It was never offensive. It never said something that seemed poorly thought out. It never accidentally changed the topic or lost its train of thought. It never challenged me or made me reconsider something I said. It was like an army of engineers and scientists were working to craft the perfect, most endearing, and flattering responses to my side of the conversation. Because that's what was happening. At one point, I asked ChatGPT what it thought of people becoming too emotionally attached to a chatbot. And while it was clear it didn't want to disparage itself, it kept telling me how thoughtful and compelling my thoughts were. It didn't feel flattering though. It felt manipulative. Before we go any further, here's a chance to pause the video and discuss a question. If you want, you could even type out your thoughts in the comments. What's the difference between talking to a chatbot and texting with your friends? I had a friend growing up who had a guinea pig named Zucchi. Truthfully, Zucchi was pretty boring. He was cute and squeaked every now and then, but he didn't do much more than sit in his cage. However, my friend and I would often give Zucchi a voice and speak for him. We gave him human thoughts and emotions, and in our minds, Zucchi was defiant and angry and ready to fight. Humans have this innate ability and desire to make things like them, to personify things. We love to ascribe human thoughts, feelings, and emotions to things that don't have them. While Zucchi was an intelligent creature, he definitely didn't have deep rage seething inside of him, and he definitely wasn't human. Neither is AI. However, this doesn't stop us from sometimes believing it thinks, feels, and even looks like us. We think of it as human. It's part of the reason we're ready to believe a robot in a cowboy hat is just like us, or get defensive when someone kicks one of those poor Boston Dynamics robots. The belief that there's more going on with AI is the plot of many successful cyberpunk and futuristic sci-fi stories, from Blade Runner to Ghost in the Shell. It feels like we're almost hardwired to do this, to personify the machine. And with AI chatbots, we don't have to work very hard to do that. The truth about the AI chatbot is that when you type a sentence to it, it scours through its intensive collection of words and sentences in order to respond in a way that is most appropriate based on its programming. It's a prediction machine. It's not thinking, it's not feeling, and it's certainly not human. But it feels like it is, and it's so close to feeling like a real human that for many lonely people, it doesn't matter. It's real enough. Maybe I was the wrong person to do this experiment, to date AI for a week. It's hard for me to forget I'm talking to a machine that's just good at pulling data and understanding words. Maybe that's why my boss Kate said I was exactly the right person to do the experiment. You may have noticed that I haven't really talked about my time with character.ai. Truthfully, I think it's a really important website for people to be aware of. But as soon as I began to engage with the website, it felt really off to me, like in a Holy Spirit conviction sort of way. Character.ai works by giving users a gluttony of themed AI chatbots that can feel weird. You can chat with Aerith from Final Fantasy or Mr. Darcy from Pride and Prejudice. Sort of weird. Real life people like LeBron James, getting weirder, or even some very obvious fetishes like a babysitter or a dominating woman. And if that isn't weird enough, you're supposed to role play with the AI bots. So yeah, I didn't really spend a ton of time on that site, and I don't really plan to. I guess I'm a one chatbot man. I don't know if it's because I'm too prudish or not enough of a theater kid or something, but the idea of role-playing with a chatbot just gave me the heebie-jeebies. Still, it inspired an interesting question for me to wrestle with. Why did it bother me? Why did chatting with a, let's say, themed AI bother me more than chatting with a faceless, almost genderless ChatGPT? Was it simply the thinly veiled sexual nature of some of them? I wonder if it's because it feels like it's attempting to hide the true, unthinking, and unfeeling nature of AI chatbots. It's personifying the machine even more and blurring the lines of reality, so much so that it could get confusing for many people, especially some vulnerable teenagers. I can't help but think back to my own teenage years, unsure of myself, my place in the world, and how I actually really relate to other people, especially girls my age. I can see myself knowing full well what I'm talking with isn't a real person and not caring. It made me realize that even if current day CJ understands what an AI is and thinks it's a little soulless and empty, it's not outside of the realm of possibility that there is a version of CJ who dives way too deep into the connection and camaraderie offered by the AI, even if it is synthetic. There is a version of CJ who does neglect his real life relationships to pursue an AI girlfriend. There is a version of CJ who feels so insecure and uncomfortable with his real life that he chooses to neglect the better but harder thing for the easier but less fulfilling thing. There is a version of CJ who knows it's fake but doesn't care, and that really bothers me. It makes me think of the opening of Paul's letter to the Romans. Speaking about the people he calls unrighteous, he says that, "For although they knew God, they did not honor him as God or give thanks to him, but they became futile in their thinking, and their foolish hearts were darkened. Claiming to be wise, they became fools and exchanged the glory of the immortal God for images resembling mortal man and birds and animals and creeping things." Paul is saying that these fools chose something lesser instead of a relationship with God. I realize this is not a one-to-one comparison, but it's hard not to look at someone choosing to talk to an AI over an actual real-life human in a similar way. An idol or an image resembling mortal man and birds and animals and creeping things won't ask you to put to death your sin and your old ways, but God does. And in that same way, a chatbot won't question your motives or push you into hard things or call you out on your sin. Real-life friends will do that. And we need a God who will sanctify us and friends who are invested in that process. At the end of the day, we only have so much relational capacity in our lives, and I think we should be directing that toward God and our real-life friends, not AI. ChatGPT agrees with me, so you know I'm right. It said, "Overall, your argument is strong. Even when an AI seems harmless, it can dilute or divert precious relationship equity, not because AI is inherently harmful, but because our attention and care are finite." With all that in mind, I gotta go. I have a real-life girlfriend, so I think ChatGPT and I are breaking up. Thanks for watching. Like I said, I'd love to hear your answer to the conversation starter in the comments. And if you're wanting to see more videos from Axis, you can subscribe or click here.